Welcome back, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. Emperor Palpatine, we know he's coming back, kind of, in the Rise of Skywalker, but how? Ghost, clone, sentinel, voice, possession,
hologram,
reincarnation, hologram, telegram, email, AOL, who knows? But he's coming back, and we're going to put our tinfoil hats on, and we're going to talk about why, how, where, when, why we think he's going to be brought back in episode 9. And then we want to hear what you guys think. But thanks for joining us today. This is our Thursday discussion show. We have a lot to talk about, but I have to say this. Big announcement. James Baney's back again, and the Will of the Force is back, baby! The segment is back, and joining me...
Why is this a thing?
To do that on the podcast, as always, is James and Lacey. Guys, are you as excited as I am to talk about Star Wars? It's a good day to be a Star Wars fan, in my opinion.
I am very excited that I'm back.
Yay.
We all are. Yes. Did it must have made you feel good for the people that were like, good show. It's just not the same without James. Like, that had to make you feel like, all right, I'm
actually, it's funny because I started seeing comments that were like, wish James was here, or like not the same, or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then like I listened to the episode and you were like, if you miss James, put this in the comments. And I was like, oh, so it's because John told them to do that.
I didn't tell anybody to say that the show's not as good without you, though. That was like, oh, well, all right. But it's good to have you back, dude.
Yeah.
Even though you were here Monday.
I wish Lacey was here.
Oh, is she here? Lacey, are you there?
Yes.
There she is.
Oh, she's
I know
a Force
John's been
ghost.
ignoring me for the first half of this segment, but yeah, no, I'm here. Good to be back.
You can follow her on Twitter at Lacey Gillern, where she talks about Star Wars. Guys, we have Will of the Force. I did my best to host it last week, but I didn't have that Baney touch. But he is back to host the segment that he loves so dearly. So, James, why are we wasting time? We have a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. So let's fire up Will of the Force this week.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
That Baney touch is emphasizing certain words and saying the sentence twice.
Is that the secret?
The first question is, will C-3PO or R2-D2 appear in The Mandalorian?
Oh,
so we're looking
starting.
at C-3PO and R2-D2 appearing in The Mandalorian. Lacey, you're first.
I'm so thrown off. C-3PO and R2-D2 in The Mandalorian. No, they will not be in The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
I don't think they're going to be in there. There's no reason for them to be in there. They don't get to Tatooine until later.
Mandalorian takes place after Return of the Jedi.
But why would they be there?
Cameo.
I mean, I guess.
So you say no.
I can't
You
see
say
Luke
no.
going back there. No.
All right, Johnny 5.
4. 5's upstairs
He's
sleeping.
4.
John 5.
He's sleeping
Bassist
upstairs.
of Marilyn Manson.
He's sleeping.
Or guitarist. I think guitarist, maybe.
Will C-3PO or R2-D2, C-3PO or R2-D2, appear in The Mandalorian? Yes. I think that we will see a cameo
Really?
at some point. Yep.
So not and. You're saying or?
Yeah, one of them are going to pop in there. Little cameo. That's what I think.
Huh.
You got 8 hours of footage. They snuck them into Rogue One. You don't think after the fall of the Empire, there's a chance we run into them very briefly? I think so. I think they'll do it.
I am with Lacey. I'm going to go no.
I knew you. You're such like an anti, like...
No, I'm not an anti. But I think her point stands more that there's no relevance for them to be there. And that is the reason that they put them in Rogue One. The Rogue One. The Rogue One, because they were like, why did they make an appearance? And it was like, because it made sense. Like, why wouldn't they be there? You know, that's where they are at the time. So any other version of that where they're like, oh, look who happened to pop up one random day on this one random planet that happens to be where the person
Anakin
is following.
Skywalker built C-3PO like that?
Kind of, yeah.
Which is
like
canon.
in a way that it's like maybe we've kind of learned from those mistakes of like sometimes it might get just too
much
coincidental.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, we got our next one. This one is coming from a patron because patrons get a special little bonus, which is we look at their questions first. Let's just put it that way. We look at their questions first. This one comes in from Admiral Todd. Not gonna try it. Todd D.
De Grossier.
And
You did it the last week.
did I?
Yes. And he complimented you.
Oh, he did. Oh, De Grossier. Then that's how I would guess. But there's a lot of L's and stuff. So.
De Grossier.
All right, so this one comes from him, and the question is, will the Cassian Andor series have cameos from other characters in Star Wars movies that might that had larger roles in the rebellion? So, for instance, we're talking Jimmy Smits, Bail Organa, or Mon Mothma. Genevieve O'Reilly, aka Mon Mothma, etc. Or here's the other option. Do you think the only characters from the movies we will see in the show are Cassian and K-2SO, with the rest of the cast being entirely new characters? This one is going to John first. John, what do you think about this? Do you think there's a chance that we're going to see familiar or all new?
We will see cameos from characters that we've seen before. I think that's important for this series because there's not a lot of history that fans know of Cassian and K2 besides that one-shot comic they did and Rogue One. So I think you need to enrich the surroundings around them, and it would make sense to get a Jimmy Smits in there for a scene or Mon Mothma. I don't think either actor are super busy right now, so there was a chance that they probably were able to sneak onto set and film a scene. They filmed in LA. It makes a lot of sense. So I think we will.
All right, Lacey, what do you think? Old or new?
Yeah, I think they're going to have old characters in there. They have to ground it so that it makes sense going into Rogue One. So if he's part of the rebellion, you're going to see characters that you've already seen. So yes.
All right, ding, ding, ding. That's the answer I'm giving as well.
Yay!
I definitely think you guys have said it, but like you gotta give us some sort of familiarity. If you only have two characters, those aren't two characters that are just gonna like sell it. Han and Chewie, maybe you might be able to get away with a Han and Chewie meet all new aliens. But you can't do it with Cassian and K2.
No.
It's just not strong enough. It's the same idea, but it's just not strong enough. You gotta sell me on like, oh, I haven't watched it yet, but I heard the third episode's gonna have Bail Organa in it. Or right. I heard the, whatever episodes featuring like some of the aliens we saw from this other thing,
right.
From a Clone Wars or Rebels show or something. Somehow they're going to be connected in there.
Forrest Whitaker's appearing in episode 5 as Saw Gerrera.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So here's a crazy one. Would we be able to see a Lando played by Donald Glover? Is it too far, too close to Billy D, do you think?
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
No good.
All right, ding, ding, ding on that one. We're moving on to the next. Good one, Todd. Thanks for the question. The next one is, will JJ Abrams make a cameo in the Rise of Skywalker? This is interesting. I'm going to start this one off, actually, and I'm going to say no. I do not think there's any chance this guy makes a cameo, considering I can't think of any time he ever has made a cameo, not even just in his own stuff, but in other people's stuff too. It's not like JJ Abrams shows up for anything. He's just not that kind of director. But Lacey, I'm going to go to you next. What do you think? You think you will?
No, I don't think JJ's ever done a cameo. And he
John's going to say yes.
He does. I know he is. And he just doesn't seem like the type of guy that would. I feel like he wants to be behind the scenes. So no, he will not. Go ahead, John. Say yes.
He will not. But
all right.
He came
so
close.
Where did this question come from?
My brain. He did sing half of the song in Maz's cantina. That's him.
That's true.
But that's not a cameo, though. He's not in the movie.
Voice actors would disagree with you, but George Lucas made a cameo in Revenge of the Sith, so that's why I pitched it.
That's a good point.
He played like a guard, an alien guard outside of Palpatine's theater thing. But
yeah, and Gareth Edwards, and
I don't think JJ will either, because I think, I mean, I don't obviously know JJ very well, but I could see him thinking that's kind of tacky. So I ding ding ding, no on the JJ cameo. So I'm with you guys.
All right, yeah, I don't think he's gonna make a cameo. All right, we got another one coming right up for you. This is from another one of our patrons. This one comes from Commander Darth Mucky. I'm going to go with Mucky.
One of our newest
Mucky
patrons.
Muck.
He's one of our newest patrons.
He is.
All right.
Or she, who knows?
He, she.
So this question is a very animated question. Seeing as though Hondo has been in the Clone Wars and Pirates Price in the sequel era, do you believe he could show up in the Rise of Skywalker and or in the Mandalorian? Little tricky double question there on the end. This one I think is going to you, John, first. What do you have to say about Hondo Naka?
Nope. He is appearing in a theme park, and that'll do it. No, he will not be in The Mandalorian. He will not be in The Rise of Skywalker. I really do not subscribe to animated characters, especially one that would involve a lot to bring to live action, appearing in live action. So, no, Hondo will not be in either of those projects.
All right, Lacey, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he will either, because the jump from animated to live action is quite the jump, and it's not like a Disney animated feature where it's like Jasmine's now an actual person. Like, I don't know, I just can't see it. So no, he will not. I
am inclined to go with you guys, and I'll say this. There's no way Hondo's showing up in The Rise of Skywalker. That would be a huge surprise to me. But I think it might be possible he could show up somewhere in The Mandalorian. And the reason I think that is the case is because someone's got the hots for Hondo over at Lucasfilm, because they seem to think he's the greatest character and they're sticking him everywhere. He seems to be this like Clone Wars era, sequel era, original trilogy era. They're just putting him everywhere. And I think that if an underground bounty hunter, and I also kind of count this a little bit as like mentions, like if he's mentioned as well in The Mandalorian, that's something they're sticking him in there on purpose. But I will say this about the character to live action thing. I think they kind of did bring him to live action by doing that animatronic.
Yeah, it's not a movie though.
I understand, but if you had a character and a person and you were going to put him in makeup, he would look like that animatronic thing, because when you see it, you're like, wow, that's him brought to life. So I think that's what he would look like. So I kind of pushed back a little bit on that, but I think maybe the Mandalorian, Darth Mucky.
So you're saying they will?
I'm saying they will.
Right.
I'm saying they won't, but they could. They could. I think that's the place. Okay. All right, we got one more coming up. This is the last one before we move on to our Patreon pod race, but we got this one. We joked about this on the Resistance Transmissions a couple weeks ago, but legitimately now I want to ask you guys, will Benioff and Weiss cast any main actors or actresses from Game of Thrones? Oh God, John. In the Star Wars films? I'm just teasing.
That's a really good question.
Lacey, go ahead and take this so that John gets his soapbox at the end.
No, I'm going to let John go first because I don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
All right, John, what do you think?
I think they will. I think it had such a huge cast. I think they all worked really well together to create that show, and it would just make sense to at least bring up one or two of them over, whether it's Sean Bean, who's a fan favorite from Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. That would be my pick. Some people would like to see Kit Harington or Sophie Turner or dozens of the other actors from the series. So to me, you like to work with people. Look at JJ Abrams. He does that often. You like to work with people you worked with before.
Kerry Russell is a good example.
A ton of the guy who played Unkar Plutt, the British dude.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, and Greg Grunberg. JJ does this all the time. This is obviously Benioff and Weiss. It's different, but you like familiarity. You like people work well with you. So I think absolutely. I think we will for sure. Now who? I'm not sure, but I think we will.
Lacey, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I can go.
Okay.
I think that they will, only because they brought in so many actors from that show. Who they'll bring? I don't know. I don't watch the show, but I like Kit Harington. He's cute, so sure.
Gotta watch that show. It's so good.
Yeah, better get started.
Nah, dog.
Yeah, I'll take you one step further, John, this is not just like a JJ thing, but this is just how Hollywood works in general. Like, this guy's always my composer.
Because people know.
Yeah, for sure. This guy's always my cinematographer. Like, we just work so well. It goes even further. Like, recently there was a split between Will Ferrell and
Adam
I can't think of his name off. Adam McKay, yeah. And it's like, that has been something that you don't even realize that because it's like it's like behind the scenes, but like people work together over and over and over again. What I will say about this, so they're definitely doing that. There's definitely going to be Game of Thrones actors and actresses in Star Wars revolving around this project. But I kind of think, and this is me from an outside perspective, there's no way it's going to be Kit Haring, right? What's his name? Kit Harington?
Harrington.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was like mad about the ending. And I think he was like,
but it's still Star Wars though.
I still think he's like, I don't want to go on another journey where that character, where they write my character in such a way that
that was way overplayed and overstated. If you watch the documentary that came out of the making of Game of Thrones and saw him leaving at the end of the last day, you saw how much they all cared about each other.
Yeah, and to be fair, if he doesn't show up, that's not me winning that argument. There's many other factors that could have come into
James,
play.
as we all know, all this stuff's about winning arguments. That's all this is.
But I'm just stating, like, I would think that he probably would. I'd love to see Gwendolyn Christie, Emilia Clarke. Those are some good choices.
Gwendolyn Christie. They're already in Star Wars. Got me.
All right, that's it. We are heading into our next section. That's the end of Will of the Force. We're going to do our Patreon pod racing. Bye, goodbye. Bye, cheer it. We should have Baze end it like, I protected you. All right. The Patreon pod race is the chance for our generals to get a little bit of a spotlight, or just a chance we ask them a question and they get to kind of voice their opinion and kind of be a part of the podcast and join us in the conversation. So this week we're going to send it over to Jeremy Myers. We asked him if he was going to pick up make Solo 2 happen. What thread does he hope that they're going to pull? So let's hear what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's General Jeremy here and my young Padawan Gianna, and we're here doing our first pod race thanks to the Resistance broadcast, and I just want to thank you guys for letting me be a part of it. Today I was tasked with the question of why do I want Disney and Lucasfilm to make Solo 2 happen. Selfishly, this movie just meant a lot to me about seeing a young Han grow up and seeing all basically the makings of how he comes to be. What can I say about the threads? You've got Han leaving to go do work with the Hutts and doing shady deals. So yes, please, definitely want more of that. Enfys Nest taking the coaxium and going and sparking the rebellion. Of course, we want more of that. We know how that ends, but definitely want to see how her story, unfolds. And then the one I want to most see is Kira and Crimson Dawn and her meeting up with Darth Maul and Dathomir. We don't have enough of it, and we need more. And I'm just desperate for anything they can give us in that regard. So, all you people at Disney and Lucasfilm need to make this happen. Movie, Disney Plus, whatever. Give us more. All right, guys, thanks again for letting me be part of the pod race, and appreciate you letting me take this time. Thanks.
All right. Wow. Okay. So to be honest, a lot of them, there's a couple in there that he's, all of them, please. Glad to hear that you're down with the Make Solo 2 Happen campaign. Of course, this is good. And, I'm excited to hear all of those. I really wanted you to say Emphas yes. I don't know if you know that yet, but, you're a new patron.
Or Emphas best.
Emphas best also. We have a couple different. So what do you guys think of the pod race this week?
Go ahead, John.
You go.
Okay.
Who's Hugo?
What? You did a good job. Welcome to the Resistance. I think the best thing you said was about Jabba. I'm so excited to see Jabba, and I want to see Jabba, and I want a Jabba puppet, which I said last week. So John Kasdan, give me a Jabba puppet. Great.
Yeah, you don't have to make Solo 2 happen. Just give
me the Jabba
puppet. Yeah, Jeremy, I think you did a good job. It's funny. You were like, I remember meeting you guys at Celebration. I'm like, okay. And then when I watched your pod race, I was like, I remember you. Yeah. It was a good job. First round on your pod race. You gave all the answers I wanted to hear, which is you definitely want Make Solo 2 happen to turn into an actual project being made. And also the threads. You start off with Han and Chewie in the huts, and that immediately gets me excited about the future of those two. That's the biggest part of me wanting this. But of course, as you say, Memphis Nest starting the rebellion, even though how that ends, I agree with you there. But I have to agree with you that the Dathomir thing between Kira and Maul would be very interesting. Seeing Maul actually in person and not via message. Something very exciting for me, especially knowing that Ray Park would be 100% down to come back and do that. I'm sure Sam Witwer wouldn't mind another paycheck too, doing the voice. So, but good job,
and
Jeremy.
And he's been liking tweets, Sam Witwer.
They're all liking all the tweets. They're all liking all of the tweets. And Jeremy, you're the man. Thanks so much for being a general. And like Lacey said, and James, welcome to the Resistance Broadcast fam.
All the Twitters.
All of the socials and the medias, all of it.
I know about computers, all the Twitters. All right, guys, we're heading in. I'm announcing the next one too. We're going into discussion this week. John, you want to take it away? What are we talking about? Palpatine.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Okay, it is time to revisit the character vault. We did a character discussion on Palpatine a few months back when we thought his character arc was finished, because we only do these character discussions when a character's arc is bookended, and it turns out we were wrong because he's coming back in the Rise of Skywalker. So we know he's coming back somehow, but how? Will Palpatine return in the flesh as a clone, as a Sith Force ghost for the first time? Is it a possession thing? Just a voice? Flashbacks? There's so many ways in which the Dark Lord of the Sith can return in the Rise of Skywalker. So we have returned to Shavy Babes in the TRB files here and are entering Speculation Nation to discuss how we think Palpatine will appear in Episode 9. So does anyone have a set idea? I know there's a lot of rumors going around too that obviously some people want to latch onto, and that's fine. I try to stay away from those. But does anyone have a set thing that they have their chips in right now?
I kind of want to let James talk because we talked a little bit about this last week. I'm really interested to hear
That's
what James
a good point.
has to say.
So we had a question. I forget. I apologize who sent it in. It was a great question on Monday, last Monday. I'm sorry. And we talked about it for a little bit without James. So that kind of sparked us wanting to do this discussion because James likes to enjoy the speculations as well.
So this was interesting to me because first thing I did was I started to write a list of every way that I think would be even remotely feasibly possible. And then I called my friend and I asked him the same question, and he added 2 more things to the list. And I was like, dude, there's no way we figured it out. There's probably like twice as many or 3 times as many options as what we're even able to come up with. But if I had to put my chips in one bag, I think it's ghost or haunting. Like the spirit of him is still connected to that desolate, dark entity that is the Death Star. I think that's where they're going to go with that, because the first thing on my list was he's still alive. He's like, he didn't die when he fell, kind of like a Darth Maul thing. And then I did the math and I'd be like, well, he'd be 119 years old, which, I mean, maybe the dark side kind of keeps you alive. Obviously, he looked like he was dead in the original trilogy, but somehow he was still around. But he would have been about 88 at that time. And if he managed to survive the fall, which is possible, we've seen him do some pretty crazy stuff, he would still be hanging around doing nothing or maybe something, but doing something until he was 119, and he's human, so I don't know that that's quite on the board anymore. But I want to hear a couple what you guys had to say, and I can run down a couple of these. John, you've named off a couple of them, but
yeah, I want to hear your list.
Okay, so I wrote still alive, and then I wrote ghost or haunting, so like he's a Sith spirit of some sort. I wrote he could be a robot, like it could be what we were talking about with the Sentinels. And I put that he could be an android, meaning like he survived the fall, but like bits and pieces of him are a robot. Yeah. But that's a possibility. He could be a clone. It could be an imitation. So it's not actually him. It's somebody else pretending to be him. He could be switching bodies. So every time he's about to die, he jumps into another body. That's possible. And then one that I wrote down, which I think this one came from my friend actually, but like he proposed this concept that what if whatever he was when we saw him in the original trilogy is not actually him? Like think kind of like a zombie sort of thing, like he already was dead, or like prolonging he had already begun the process of being past death. Does that make sense? So then wherever, even though you threw him off a cliff, he didn't die and he didn't ever age because he had already stopped aging during
That's wild.
sometime before the original trilogy.
James, it's in your head. It's in your head.
No, I know.
Zombie.
I'm just talking like crazy, weird stuff, and I'm sure there's many more. You get to a point where you're like, I don't know that I can think of many more past this, but those are all the ones that I came up with. What do you guys latch on to? You're like, still alive.
I know
John,
Lacey has ideas. Lacey likes to dive into the rumor mill, so.
I do. We talked about this when we talked about this. My thought was that it was very, from what I've heard rumor wise, it was very like Professor Quirrell in Harry Potter, where someone is possessing someone else, or he's possessing an item. So John, I think you're the first one that said like the helmet that Kylo Ren has maybe somehow has Palpatine in it, and it goes into his spirit goes into something else.
Yeah,
I feel
which
like
is my vote. I think that's where
right,
I'm landing.
and I feel like we've talked about this a couple times, but I feel like that could be Matt Smith's role. Is that this character then possesses Matt Smith, and Matt Smith is somewhat Palpatine.
Wow.
So that goes into the like body switching.
Yeah,
one.
like Body Snatchers, Professor
That is
Quirrell,
so
Harry Potter,
wild.
where Voldemort's in Quirrell.
So
Yeah.
you kill Matt Smith, but you don't kill Palpatine because he could just jump to another body.
Right.
So
So
they're
the
gonna have to
rumor
do
is that he
something that
jumps
kills-
to Kylo Ren's body.
Yeah.
Man, that would be so horrible. I hope that's like one of those fake rumors they leak out there to see, like, let's see if people believe
That sounds like
this.
something you would do, Lacey. Jump to Kylo Ren's body.
Oh, she would jump Kylo Ren's body, not jump to his
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
Well,
This is
whatever.
uncomfortable.
Oh, like people don't know that's what you think. Get the hell out of here. All right. So that whole thing is
That was
so,
Lacey's cackle.
that's her cackle. James, you got to edit that into the trailer.
Yeah.
That whole rumor like is wacky to me because I don't Kylo Ren's enough of a great character where
To be clear, I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying I could see it.
Sure.
That's what you're hearing.
Because I've already seen it in Harry Potter, so I've seen it work.
Right.
Sorry, I just want to put that out there that I don't
want
necessarily
them
like
to do Harry Potter stuff either. But Kylo Ren's good enough of a character where I don't need him to be all of a sudden taken over by Palpatine. That would be such a lame move, and I think there'd be a
But what if he gets killed because of it?
No. I think that'd be a big mistake by JJ to do that. I hope he doesn't do that. I think it's going to be a lot simpler, like where we're doing the whole wild thing and the tinfoil hat thing for the spirit of the discussion and stuff. But I really think, and when I was thinking about that comic book review or whatever, that Palpatine may just get inside their heads, and instead of it being Rey and Kylo Ren having their Skype call, Palpatine's in both their heads somehow. Or trying to get into Rey's head, and he's in Kylo Ren's head, and maybe
you mean the Force time call?
Well, kind of like how Palpatine.
I mean, isn't that what Snoke was doing?
Well, like,
isn't that just a repeat of
how Palpatine spoke to Anakin and kind of baited him to come to where they were.
Well, that's what they're hinting at in The Force Awakens is someone's talking to Rey. Someone's telling Rey to kill Kylo Ren.
I think that's what we're looking at here. But I also think we will get a flashback with Palpatine just so that they can give us McDiarmid in the makeup again in a scene.
And maybe remind people.
And maybe showing him plant the seeds in case this happens, I have a way back.
Oh,
sort of
so you're saying like kind of close up some holes.
Yes. So like pre-Return of the Jedi, we'll see him look like he did in Return of the Jedi era, but like planting seeds. And I know they got, Operation Cinder and that stuff exists and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But planting the seeds for him himself to somehow come back, because his whole obsession since we first met this guy was how to cheat death, how to be immortal, how to live forever. And maybe that's his whole thing. So
since we first met him?
Well,
or since we first met him in the prequels?
Yes, right. Okay. Since we saw him in the prequels and all that stuff, right. So I think we're going to get a mixture of things. I think he's going to be inside their heads via his voice, kind of like we've seen him do with a lot of characters, even in Rebels with Ezra and all that sort of stuff. Just trying to get inside your mind, whether that's literally or just abusively. And then,
okay, but is he? I want to ask you though: is he alive? Because it seems like you're beating around it.
He's not physically alive. No, we'll get the physical Palpatine in the flashback, so that'll check that off. There's McDiarmid. He's back in the makeup. Perfect. Boom. There he is. That's done. He will be a voice though, and I think it will be a little bit of the haunting thing. And I do think he won't possess people, but I do believe that his essence got absorbed into Vader's mask via the electricity. So I think Kylo Ren, that whole time, he thought he was talking to Darth Vader. He was really talking to Palpatine via that mask.
I think that makes sense.
Cuckoo. Oh, hold on.
The lightning bolt thing makes sense. Where
James. He zombie bodied jumping.
I didn't say I believed any of that. I said, what are the possibilities?
You made a list.
Yeah, I wrote down every possibility.
You make a list, you go to the grocery store, you're like, I was never going to buy that. Just put it on my list.
No. The question is, what is everything that could possibly be at a grocery store? And you're like, all right, I'll make the list. It's not what am I going to go buy? What am I interested in? Get out of here.
Bananas.
What is going on?
He's mad because I called this thing cuckoo, but I think it's the electricity thing was the only thing that got me.
I think that makes sense.
I think that's cool.
Because that's the only thing that and it would be callback that's so specific in Return of the Jedi that you see it go into the mask, and don't you see his skull?
You see Vader's skull, yeah.
And if it's I don't know, there's something about like he's using the Force lightning as like an attack, and you're making it seem a little bit more like Spider-Man, like he got thrown off the cliff and he's like, "Oh, there goes my essence. Whoosh, let me make sure I latch onto that helmet."
There goes my essence.
What?
Essence.
Oh, they got a couple seconds to make sure I get landed it. Gotcha.
No, but it could be no. Hold on. Now. I'm gonna go back to Harry Potter again. Hold on. Voldemort attacked Harry and left a scar, which then connected them when he was getting attacked.
And it would like burn.
If Vader electrocutes, or if the Emperor electrocutes Vader with dark Force lightning, Like, what's to say that kind of...
I hear you. I think there's something different about like that being the original story of like he did this. It wasn't like they later were like, oh shoot, we need a way to like somehow connect them. Let's say it was because of the lightning thing.
But what if it was George's idea?
Maybe.
Well, we all know George wrote this whole trilogy, so.
Yeah.
You guys didn't happen to mess this up, so...
Yeah.
So
you could have messed this
we're
up,
all
but you
ruling out clones.
Yes.
You think between us? Okay.
Get out, clones.
And I think there's no way they would go the route that I wrote down, which is the imitation. Like it's somebody else who idolized Palpatine.
It's like Scream
who is
2.
turning themselves into Palpatine.
Or Saw. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Saw.
Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna rule that one out too. We talked a little bit about body switching. That seemed somewhat likely. No robots or androids, right? He's not.
No.
It's
I think
not.
body
That's also
switching
kind of
sounds
imitation,
more
but more of a
viable than
cinder
not.
type thing. What is body switching?
That's just too...
Because we've heard that a lot over the past year that it's body switching.
Yeah, but that is
that's the thing people keep going
that
to.
That really is like too
Because
Harry
I think
Potter
it's
to me.
people trying to make sense of it, and they're like okay with that.
It's not
idea.
necessarily Harry Potter. It's very sci-fi body switching, and not even just sci-fi, more supernatural.
But wasn't...
Like-
nobody knows body switching better than Captain Ginyu.
What is that?
Like 3% of our audience got that one.
Is that Star Trek?
No, it's Dragon Ball Z.
Oh my God.
Hey, look, he has his big technique is finding the better opponent. Every time he gets in a fight with someone who's better than him, he switches bodies with them and then uses their body to beat his old body up.
So it sounds like a crappy rogue X-Men character.
So here's the deal. You have to take consideration the Vader mask thing. What do we think happened between Kylo and that mask? Was he actually hearing someone, or was he literally just talking to a mask as a symbol?
I think he was hearing someone.
If he was actually having a conversation, to me, it can't be Vader, even though they did the concept art thing, and I understand the split Anakin Vader thing, but they didn't use that. So that's just concept. Gone. To me, it can't be Vader because we saw Anakin come back. Vader's gone. Anakin came back, so it wouldn't make sense for that to be Vader speaking to him. So if it's anybody, to me, it has to be Palpatine, and it's a perfect in for JJ to round this out and say, there it goes. That's why that makes sense. He was talking to Palpatine the whole time. That
right,
just
and the
makes
helmet
way
could
too
have
much
been
sense
calling
to
to
me.
him.
Yeah.
And he went to go pick it up, and yeah.
I do agree that makes sense. That I like, or I don't like it, but I agree that makes sense.
It.
But I will say that if given the choice, I don't think Kylo was ever talking to anybody, and I don't think that helmet was talking back. I don't
But
think
it said,
he was
show
like,
me. Show me again what I can do.
The power of the darkness.
He says again.
Yeah.
That is
I
the
still
perfect
take
way
it-
to bring him into it. To say, oh, I was talking to Darth Vader, and Anakin's like, nah, dog, it's not Darth Vader. It's actually this guy.
Yeah.
I still take it
Palpatine's
as
like,
kind
it's
of
me,
like
Grandpa.
when somebody, you know,
How you doing,
like,
grandson?
says, you know, I want something to happen in my life that's good, and then when something good happens, they're like, oh, praise the Lord or whatever, right? It's not even necessarily, doesn't have to be connected. So when he says, show me the dark, and then he's like swamped in the dark again, he's like, thank you, Vader. And it's not even Vader. It's not like anybody's talking to him.
No, I
but
think
he's
it's
giving
talking
him,
to him,
he's
though.
giving Vader the credit.
Although it reminds me now of like Little Red Riding Hood, where it's like Grandma's the wolf, and she's like, yeah.
Show me again, Grandma,
Right.
your sharp teeth.
Yeah, and he's just like, this one time,
Yeah. Yeah.
go kill this guy. Are you sure? Yeah, just go do that.
I just think, and what do you guys think about a flashback element? Are we going to see Palpatine
Yes.
in the flesh?
They had to hide. Remember, JJ keeps saying, or he said at Celebration that they didn't know it was going to get out.
Could have been a decoy too.
But he said he was on set, though.
It could
And
have
that
been a
he-
decoy.
What do you mean?
He could have been there just to throw people off the scent. They do that a lot now.
But Ian said he was there.
He
Wait,
could have.
yeah.
He could have been there just to go there. Remember, Mark Hamill was on set for The Force Awakens the entire production, and he didn't even film at Pinewood. He filmed at Skellig Michael.
Why would they do that though?
To throw people who get these leaks and we saw him there, we saw her there, blah,
But it
blah,
didn't get
off the
out.
scent. It can though.
But they're saying we did all this work
And
no
get
one
out.
ever discovered it, and we were kind of surprised. Now that we can talk about it, we were surprised that no one ever caught on to all of our fake leaks. Like that would be weird.
Well, not
wouldn't
even
it?
fake leaks, because Mark Hamill would post photos from outside the lot at Pinewood during the making of TFA, and he posted photos of him with people on the lot, and people were like, "Oh wow, Mark Hamill's been at Pinewood for 2 months. He must have a big role in Episode 7." Didn't film one scene there.
I know, but for them to play the trailer and everyone's like, oh my gosh, including you two, oh my gosh, Palpatine's in this. And then JJ's doing press and his press is, he's back, huh? Man, I can't believe it didn't get out. He
Sure.
was on set and
My
everything.
thing-
I don't see that as being I think that was him being genuine, like, I'm surprised you're surprised and it didn't get out.
Look, I think he is coming back. That was the first thing I said, is I think he is, but
Okay, I think here's the confusion: is John may see the end of this movie being like a CGI creature spirit or something, and they only need him for his voice. They don't even need him to be on set. So if he's on set, maybe we might see him in a flashback kind of thing. And is that what you're saying? That's why the physical question is coming in? Because he's on set. To me, he could very well be on the Death Star, looking at Rey, looking at Kylo, in the flesh, Ian McDermott.
well, let's not
Right.
forget he could also have been brought there just to help them with their scenes. So he could have been
Which they
speaking-
did with Adam and Daisy.
Bingo.
Oh,
Yep.
That's true. That's true.
So, but that's just me talking about the possibilities. I do think we are going to see him in the makeup, because the guy's 75. It's the last shot to really do Palpatine in this saga. You do it. And the way they introduce flashbacks, it just makes sense. If you're going to explain Palpatine coming back, what better way than to do a flashback scene to show him planting the seeds before he actually died?
Yeah. I mean, now that you've
I don't
brought up
know.
the Daisy Adam thing where they flew Adam to Ireland just to stand there, and then they had
Right.
Daisy at Pinewood just to sit there.
Yeah, so it's possible he was at Pinewood and didn't film scenes, although I do think we are going to see him.
I think just the same ways I've talked about Force Ghost showing up in a physical presence, I think you're going to see him in this movie in a physical presence, but only in the current timeline. I don't think we're going to see a flashback, but I think he's going to look scary, even he looked old and dark before, but he looked clean, if you will. I feel like they could dirty him up and make him frightening, terrifying nightmare kind of, but still in
Yeah.
person. Cause think now, he was in his 80s, and that's oh, I don't like kissing my grandma either, but now they could do 119 years old. This guy looks like death.
And remember
you know?
how creepy he was in Rebels too? He was
Yeah. And when he's in the world between worlds, he's not in there, but he's on the other side of it.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Any random, because we kind of brushed over this real quick, but the whole he already passed on and became this eternal being sometime early. Do you think that is any sort of possibility? They threw him over the thing, but his body didn't crush. The Death Star blew up, but his body stayed intact. He had already done this thing to himself to ensure his death would be cheated.
Wait, are you
he
saying-
already committed that?
Are you
spell.
saying his body got preserved somehow and he re-enters his body in a way?
No, I'm saying
His spirit goes elsewhere.
I'm saying he's he's on his deathbed and he uses whatever he learned from Plagueis to cheat death. So now he's impenetrable. His body is Superman, if you will. They throw him off the edge. You think you think he dies because he's an old man. But little did we know, his body is pervious. So the whole Death Star blows up. He didn't die. He's in space. He doesn't choke. He falls to the planet and he's still there. He's still in his body, but he's aging.
That's
nonetheless.
I don't know.
No? Okay. I mean, I don't know.
I'm
I was
really
kinda
boggled
kicking
by
it
this.
around.
I don't know how they're going to pull this off.
I like that I'm boggled by it though, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Do you think they don't even answer it? Like he shows up and we're going to be like, so what?
Yeah.
What the heck? Like they just don't even answer it. We're just supposed to be like, oh man, he came back and then they defeated him.
again.
I just find
Yeah.
it funny that months ago, like leading up to around Christmas time, we were talking about episode 9 and we were saying like, will there be some type of twist or some type of weird thing that happens? And all of us were like, no way, they're tying up the whole thing. There's going to be no surprises. And then the first trailer hits us with like the biggest surprise ever.
Yeah.
And we're like, what?
I don't think there will be twists in the film. I don't
Sure.
think like the beginning of Act 3 is going to be like, what? He's alive? It's Mace Windu the whole time? Like, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. But I do think twists leading up to it is like, oh, were you not expecting this? They're in the movie, you know?
So
Right, but I'm just saying, like, we thought, like, oh, there's no
Yeah.
way. And then, like, the first teaser trailer has one of the most big twists ever in Star Wars history.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
So we are 6 months out. We can revisit this as we get more info. Maybe after the D23, we see a clip, and maybe we could put some puzzle pieces together. I know the EW will probably have something out via Bresnikin, so we can revisit it. But as we stand now, 6 months out, what if you guys had to pick one option that you think, not what you want, but what you think is most likely? How is Palpatine coming back in 9 to close this thing out? The discussion, by the way, not the movie.
Lacey, you going body switching?
Yeah, I'm going, like, spirit in helmet to body possession.
I'm gonna possess Lacey's body and just walk around being like, I hate Kylo Ren.
This got weird. James?
I think that ghost and haunting of the cemetery that is the Death Star, I think is probably the most viable option, but I'm kind of convincing myself on my own fan theory that he did something to himself a while ago to cheat death. And
Tomorrow
he
on
is
Reddit, they're going to be like, rumor.
Yeah.
still
Then I have to do a rumor review.
alive in that very terrible way, in a very dark way.
Like Palpatine just like jumps into a vat of Flex Seal or whatever that stuff they put on. Like,
You'd have to ask Plagueis. He knows.
Let me just go call him up.
Lacey's body jumping. You are
/ object possession.
/ object possession.
Slash.
James, you're doing. He's haunting.
Now you treat bodies like objects, Lacey.
Hell yeah, I do in Star Wars. I mean,
So
what?
What? John,
James,
what do you got?
no. So
John,
just
you're robot, right?
to reiterate, he's haunting the Death Star, but he had done something to himself prior to Return of the Jedi to make him immortal.
And John's for clones.
For
Yeah.
clones, yeah. Everyone's a clone, especially Rey, because she's not
Clones
special.
and robots.
No, I think we're gonna in the present. He's gonna be some kind of haunting spirit, and we're gonna hear him inside their heads, inside their minds, and then I think we're gonna get an explanation that he did encompass that Vader mask in a way, and then I think we're gonna get a flashback showing how he planted the seeds for his essence to continue now. But
and I think Matt Smith's going to be the body person that he.
that just sounds like a really bad Terminator movie. Like,
Okay, cool. See you there.
now I'm this. Like, ugh.
I can't wait till this movie comes out and that's what happens. And I'm going to cut this clip and I'm going to post it on Twitter being like, hey, remember when John said this?
Yeah, and I'm still gonna say it because that sounds dumb. Like,
I think
that's okay.
Almost
end
as
of Return
dumb
of
as
the
you saying
Jedi.
you're going to possess my body. And
I'd say
I think at the
Kylo
end of
Ren. Well, you
Return of the
already said that
Jedi,
once, so.
Vader is going to turn sides, grab the Emperor, lift him up, and throw him off a cliff.
That sounds good. Let's do that.
That
again.
sounds terrible. That's a terrible ending.
I wrote that ending. Okay. So, guys, that is our discussion on Palpatine. I know there's a lot of Palpatine fans out there, so I hope you guys like the fact that we revisited that. Let us know what you think. How's Sheevy Babes coming back in the Rise of Skywalker? What do you think about our theories? Hit the comments up and hit us up on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And again, we are going to revisit this as we get more information. Together, we'll find the secret, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that discussion. But now it's time for the giggles. And before we get going, I'm going to call Lacey out on this because I saw that she liked one of the Resistance transmissions, which means she read it. And I have a big problem with that.
I didn't read it. I did not read it.
But you
I
liked
didn't read it. Yeah, I don't know what it
We'll
said.
figure it out.
We'll figure it out. So we're going to send it to Lacey for
She likes
your
things she doesn't know what they
Resistance
say.
transmissions this week. What are we doing?
Hey guys, it's time for Resistance transmissions. John is on a roll tonight.
It's late.
So, how it works is John puts up a crazy scenario on Twitter and people answer it. And I probably did like one of these because people tend to tag me in them, but it doesn't mean I read it and I don't know what it is. Okay. So, before leaving Jakku, Kylo Ren, this is why I liked it. I think you made the image of Kylo Ren and I just liked it.
Yeah, I used the GIF. I didn't credit who made the GIF, but I used the GIF.
Oh, how dare you. Before leaving Jakku, Kylo Ren turned and stared at FN 2187, parenthesis Finn, who failed to obey orders to kill villagers. Kylo Ren said nothing and just stared at him. What line would you add here for Kylo Ren to say to FN 2187? This is amazing. Okay. So the first one is from the Big Trebowski at Spin Up the FTL.
Trevo!
Hey, what's up? He says, Kylo shakes his head disapprovingly and mutters, effing millennials. He would be a millennial.
Can I add one right now? Mine would be him staring at him and goes, "Wait till you see me without a cowl."
Because he's shirtless.
Oh my goodness gracious. James, real quick, are you allowed to say effing?
What? No.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
I mean, yes, but no, whatever. I'm
right.
not.
Next is at Fletzer Pete. And he
What's up,
says,
Pete?
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Well, you're a stormtrooper, so you probably miss about 100% of the ones you do take. Never mind, just get on the transport.
Well done.
I thought I was going to go into the office and be like, dash.
Michael
Wayne
Scott
Gretzky,
dash
dash.
Kylo Ren. Yeah.
Yeah. Next is Psy_fictionary. And it's actually a screenshot from Napoleon Dynamite. And it's his brother. And it's, don't be jealous. I was just talking to hot babes all day. I love that movie so much. Next is Darth Glucosa. And they said, hey, what are you looking at, butthead? He posted a gif of Biff from Back to the Future. Nice.
That'd be funny to hear Kylo Ren say that in his little mask.
Yeah. Next is at JR Van Do.
Oh.
And he said, get him. Yo, that's F.
That's harsh. Yeah, I read that and I was like, oh my gosh,
Get
that's
a
like
mop.
to the core of like taking him down. That is a put down.
But it's also clean up all this blood. He
Blood.
just killed all these people. It's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
That's how I took it.
I took it both.
There's so much blood.
Yeah. I took it as just a stab at him being a janitor.
I
Yeah,
mean, that
yeah.
too, yeah. Next is John S. Reese. And
up,
he
John?
says, do you need a Han to ride in on, or are you going to do your job and shoot some people?
Hans.
Han-Hans are happening. All right. Next is at Rogue_Squadron 2, our newest patron, Christopher. Hello.
Christopher.
He says, Kylo, FN 2187, I'm assuming. Finn says, yes, sir. Kylo, you will be reassigned to radar maintenance for disobeying orders. Please report to Matt, the radar technician, upon returning.
I see it coming. As soon as I saw
Finn,
radar.
This isn't that you, chokehold. Kylo, silence. He is not me. I hear he is quite handsome, though.
Nice. You wrote a script there. A little,
that's good.
Love
short
it.
film.
I heard he's shredded. He has an 8-pack.
Short film. Kid theater.
Yeah. By the way, can I hit pause?
Sure.
In that skit, I love when he goes, "I see inside your mind. It is stupid," and he just throws the guy across the room.
Yeah.
One of the best skits of all time.
It really is. I liked when Leslie was like, "Can I eat my muffin, Matt?
Yeah,
Can
my
I eat my muffin?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Why are you yelling at me?"
Yeah.
Anyway, at Post a Poc podcast wrote, "I could kill you, but why bother? It's not like you're ever going to do anything significant or that I'll ever see you again."
Boy, was he wrong.
Next is Eric McGilvray, 27, wrote, "Kylo, cough. She's going to choose me. Finn, what? Kylo, what? Nothing."
That's for all the Raylos out there.
I love it. Next is Snoke's legs. I love that handle so much. Snoke's legs. And he says, "Kylo, it's tearing me apart. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Will you help me?" Finn and FN2187 says, "Sir." And Kylo says, "Make Solo 2 happen."
Yeah.
Yay. That was the best one. Snoke's legs. Love it that it's
Snoke's legs knows how to get on the podcast.
He does. Snoke's legs is killing it. Guys, if you want to be on the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And every week, John puts up something that I don't look at. And then I read it on the show with hashtag Resistance Transmissions.
All right.
Back to you, John. Thanks for making it a Kylo scenario.
Woo!
Just for me.
Yes. Well, not really, but that's okay. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you guys haven't yet, we have 2 episodes a week. So to keep up, make sure you are subscribed to us, and you could do that on Apple Podcasts, aka formerly known as iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube if you're watching. How you guys doing? Make sure you head to StarWarsNewsNet.com. That is our website for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Our review team is stellar. They're on top of all the books and comics. So big shout out to Jordan, Yelena, and Kyle. And make sure you check out our Patreon page. And I'd like to take this moment to thank our Patreon generals. We have Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Don Boring, Andrew Staley, Len Brown, Neil Lowry, and Jeremy Myers, and of course, Val Trichkoff. Thank you, generals, for all of your support. And thank you to all of our patrons out there. We have officially reached our 3rd goal, which means we're going to be recording a Rogue One commentary soon.
James, time has come.
Very excited about that. I'm excited about that. That should be a good one. And we'll get that out on that page soon. But if you haven't yet, check out our Patreon page. It is patreon.com/resistance broadcast. And access to the page starts at only $2 a month. So go check it out. We post new stuff on there every day. Lacey runs the page for us. And we have 5 tiers and different rewards for each tier, all listed right there on the page for you. So check it out. And honestly, thank you so much for everyone who is a patron, and thank you for considering supporting the Resistance broadcast. We appreciate that. And guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't steer people in how to really get your Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirt, because that is at only place you can really get this, tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast. We have the Make Solo 2 Happen designs in black font and gold font, and you can also get about 40 other different designs. And Mr. James Bainey over here is the creator of the design for Make Solo 2 Happen, except no imitations, unless you're one of our patrons who did that once, but that's okay. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James, Mr. Myra Trunks Bainey, what about you?
You can find me at that place John just said, and it's over on Twitter. I'm looking forward to having some real talk with some real folks.
Nice.
I see what you did there.
Solid reference. Lacey, what about you?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin.
No kidding.
What do you talk about there?
How
Lacey
Kylo
has-
Ren is shredded.
Lacey has like 10,000 followers.
John,
Look at her face. Look at the face. Put that on Patreon. Guys, thank you so much. We love you. We hope you have a great weekend. And of course, we're going to be back with you guys on Monday with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.
bye.